no doubt we all love fresh laid snow. It's absolutely beautiful. But the question is, how do you drive in it? And no better person to talk to than our driving expert who joins us again to give us some tips on winter driving safety. James, welcome back to Get Connected.
Hey Con, great to be here again.
Well, James, I'm beginning to think you live in a car. You drive, we talked to you in LA, you've been in Austin, Texas, and now in Colorado.
I'm beginning to think I live on your show. It's all good.
Well, you know, James, we love connecting with you here on Get Connected, but the question is, what are you doing in Colorado today?
Well, GMC has been kind enough to invite me up for a day of winter driving. So yeah, we're here in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and it's not about just going out and playing in the snow, which between you and I, I'll probably find a way to do that anyway, but it's really about respecting what winter driving is all about. Vehicles today have amazing technology to help get you through. And that's great, and we're going to be exploring those systems here in Colorado today. But the most important piece of technology, though, is the driver. If you are exceeding the physical limits of what these vehicles can do in the weather that you're driving in, then you need some help. You need to really kind of pull back and say, I need to build some more time into my day. If I'm rushing, you have to be respectful of the fact that conditions are changed. You know, you don't know if you're going to hit water, you're going to hit black ice, you're going to hit snow. So we're up here in Colorado to learn how to be the safest drivers we can.
Well, James, you have my attention. I'm really intrigued. Never knew that an auto company had such a facility, particularly when it comes to test driving in the winter conditions.
Yeah, it's an actual driving school. We're going to be with professional instructors throughout the day and basically going through all different conditions. And the thing about it, and we're using these GMC vehicles to not only learn how to drive from the instructors, but then to also test the technologies that are in place. Things like Stabilitrak and traction control and anti-lock braking. They all have a role to play when it comes to driving in bad weather like this. And this school is going to not only you know, put those systems to the test, but then test us to make sure that we're using them properly.
Well, James, first and foremost, it sounds really amazing. Now give us a few tips when it comes to driving in the winter.
Well, I think when it comes to tips, there's a few things. First off, we mentioned about rain and water, standing water that might be on the road. That's something I didn't even think about until recently, is that you want to stay more towards the middle of the road. If it's a two-lane road, obviously you don't want to go too close, but if it's a multiple lane road, maybe go for the center lane, because the road's been made with a bit of a crown to them for drainage purposes. So you don't want to be where the puddles might happen, especially at night when you don't see them. Also, you want to have the car prepared. You want to maybe throw a duffel bag in the back with extra bits and pieces like you know, extra clothing, some food, some water, jumper cables, tow ropes, cell phone. That's a big one. Make sure that either before you go out, your cell phone is completely charged, or you've got a charging cable in the car, because that might be your lifeline should something happen. And then the last thing I want to mention is, and this is something that I'd heard before, thought maybe it was an old wives' tale, but I spoke to some engineers at GM and it's absolutely true. You want to have at least a half a tank of fuel in your car as often as you can. Reason being is that if you're below half a tank, condensation can build up in the fuel line. And then let's say you drive to the airport when you go see grandma for the holidays or something like that, and where you leave your car gets really cold, that fuel line can freeze up and block out. And so then when you come back to start the car, you're not going anywhere. So keep the extra fuel in the tank. It keeps that problem at bay, as well as, hey, it's probably smarter to have extra fuel because you don't want to be running out of gas and being stuck at the side of some cold, wet road.
Well, James, we love all the intellectual power you give us, but it's very impressive about this new technology you guys have developed. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, Stabilitrak, as I mentioned, is a great system that we've had in our vehicles for several years now, is now being mandated in all cars by the year 2012. And what it does is basically it's got a sensor in the car, and it always wants to keep nice and straight and true. And when you start to get a little out of control and the car starts to slide around, it will modulate the brakes to make sure that the car kind of pulls itself back into line. When I mentioned the brakes, a really important thing is the anti-lock braking system. This is not new technology. It's been out for many years, but I think there's still a lot of people out there who don't know how to use it. And it's very simple to learn. And when we first learned to drive, you learn to pump the brakes, to basically act like anti-lock braking on your own. That is not the way to do it anymore. When you need to brake and you need to do it quickly and maybe get around some sort of hazard, all you do is you put as much pressure to the floor as your leg can muster and then continue to steer as you did normally. A good idea is to go to a parking lot and before the weather gets bad and test it a few times, because when the anti-lock braking is in full force, your steering wheel is going to shudder, It'll make a real racket. You'll think that the front end's rattling itself apart. No, it's a four-wheeled robot that we're driving these days, and that's that system doing its very best. So know what you've got working for you before you get out in the cold weather and have to test it.
Well, no doubt about it, James. We are thankful that GM and you care about our winter driving safety. Thanks for all that you do, and thanks for joining us.
See you in 2012, and Happy New Year.
James Bell, the driving guru. You can see other segments he's done with us recently about all type of technology when it comes to your car at contv.com. We'll be right back here on Get Connected. Why? Because we love getting you in the know. Thank you so much for watching. Are you tired of negative news? We are.
And that's why we're creating a movement.
By keeping it real.
With what you need to know.
It's more than what's happening.
It's bringing hope back to our lives.
So go to contv.com and join our movement.